Hello friends, it is I, Jenkins, and in this video I'm going to be covering options. Again, options part 2, just more options that I think you should have on in Dota. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Option number 1, and this is actually a set of options, but you should set up courier hotkeys. You can find this in the hotkeys section in the bottom left. We have a select courier key and a courier deliver item key, and both of these are important. The courier delivers items key is just important because it's very convenient if you are fighting or pushing a tower, or you're in some sort of situation where you really don't want to manually select the courier or focus on anything that isn't that particular unit or event that's occurring at hand. You can just press one button and the courier will eventually come to you. That is very convenient in a game where there can be these very intense moments. And then you want to set the select courier hotkey honestly for situations where you're not actually that worried about the courier delivering the items. It's more so you're using the courier for some other specific purpose. So essentially you'll see in pro games a lot, somebody will send like the courier to check the Roshan pit. In this practice lobby there's no Rosh pit, but they'll just send the courier to kind of scout an area where it can see the Rosh respawning, but it won't necessarily die. If somebody walks in there, they're not going to immediately see and kill the courier. It's used to scout over trees if somebody's trying to juke, because it has a little bit of flying vision. It's used to scout on the high ground to deward wards. Sometimes you have to manually select the courier, send it all the way around to the enemy secret shop because your secret shop is dangerous. Or like if you're playing mid and the courier's about to get sniped, you have to micro it away from the person that's chasing the courier. And there's essentially a lot of situations in Dota in which you want to control the courier where it's not just, hey, deliver items to me. Like, it has a lot of other uses, especially at a high level where people are basically trying to abuse every single thing that they can use to win a game of Dota, and courier is absolutely one of those things. And the only way you're going to start using the courier to do those kind of advanced tactics is if you have this hotkey setup. So 2 more reasons this is useful I want to briefly mention is the fact that you don't need to set a shield hotkey, which is located somewhere here in the settings. You can just tab to the courier using your select courier hotkey and then press your regular ultimate button, which is going to be the shield button. And then also if you want to move your camera to the courier, like if you see enemy heroes around the courier where it could potentially die, you can just double tap your courier key and immediately go to it without having to actually move your mouse down to the bottom left and using your map, your mini map, to get to the courier's location. To save it, you can just double tap the courier hotkey, and you can't do that without that hotkey. Option number 2, you should set up micro hotkeys and settings, because it is night and day between people that micro just using the default settings and box select, etc., and people that micro using settings. And basically the argument is, if you're using box select and you have a lot of units and they all do very important things that you need to select them, you are going to spend so much time selecting those units and moving your mouse to select those units that you will not have time to move your mouse to click them in any meaningful location. Essentially, there's too many actions that are required from you all at once. You need to have hotkeys set up to select those units for you, so your mouse can already be in the position to do those actions of those units that you're selecting. So I'm going to show you a way that hopefully, if you have no idea how to micro, you can kind of follow this flowchart and learn to micro relatively well. But essentially, the first settings that I would recommend you set up is that you should go into your settings, in hotkeys, set up a select hero hotkey. This just selects your hero. You can double tap it. It brings you back to your hero no matter where they are on the map. So like, if you have the courier hotkey set up, you can select the courier, double tap your hero, go back to your hero. That's just convenient. Probably start with that, see how that goes. And then go to your advanced hotkeys and then make a hotkey for select all other units. I personally like to have these 2 hotkeys on my mouse, so that way I can rotate between all of my other units and my hero without actually having my left hand on the keyboard. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but you can just use your right hand for all of your movement, and that is very convenient. And then finally, I would say that you should go into your options and then turn on unified unit orders with control. And this is kind of the first step in microing. And the reason that this is pretty good already is because, like, if you look at your setup here with like a Lycan and any micro hero, there are many different units here. They all do a lot of different things, but we can say one thing for certain: this unit and these units are very different. these are units that are not my hero, so it doesn't matter if they die. Well, it doesn't matter that much. And then this is my hero. It's very different, right? That's one distinction. So it's very convenient to be able to micro all of these separately, micro this guy separately, and then micro them all together if I want to. And that is what those settings allow you to do, because if you hold control, you can micro them all separately, and I can like highlight these guys and still move my hero. And then let's say I want to just move these guys separately, but keep my hero going somewhere. I'll attack this tower, and then without doing anything with my left hand or tabbing or selecting anything, I can keep my hero attacking the tower and move these units separately. Alternatively, I can keep my hero selected and then move these units to attack the tower. But if I don't want to put my hero there because it's too dangerous, they can all go attack the tower, and it doesn't matter if they die because they're the units. You can kind of see how the groups and the distinction of the units with the settings kind of works there, where you can adequately micro at the very least. However, obviously with Lycan in particular, there are units that are very important to cast their spells, like with the Necronomicon, depending on the unit that you get with the Dominator, that might have a castable spell, and you want to be able to select those. So, you know, a lot of the time, if you just have these settings and you are box selecting the Dominator creep or the Necro, that might actually be okay for being decent at micro, because you are taking away enough actions by learning these settings that it's actually not that bad to have to manually select these things. However, I would say that there's still a step that you can go further. Then in the bottom right here, we have control groups. So it's very important here to just set up the control groups. I use F1 through F4, and 1 through 5 are my spells, so this makes sense for me. My left hand is already in this area because I'm casting spells using it, so just, you know, set these control groups. You really only need like 3 or 4 of them, probably only like 2 or 3 depending on the hero. But if you're Lycan, you can go, if you play a lot of Lycan, you can go to a practice lobby and then select like your Necro Creep, for example, and then I hold control and press F2, and that's going to make this always F2. So if I deselect this, you know, select this creep, double tap F2, it goes to the Necro, and then if I, let's say, get a Dom Creep over here, I've set that to F1, so anytime I press F1 in any game, it's going to select that Dom Creep. So essentially, you know, you could set this up where like F3 is your wolves if you want to scout with them, maybe even separate the wolves or something like that by, you know, doing F5, and then this is F4, and then this is F3, and then you could separate the wolves to scout. That is possible, but that's getting more and more advanced. I would say the most important thing involving Lycan is, like, first and foremost, set up this Necro, because using it to purge somebody is really important. So you can essentially move everything onto somebody, select F2, purge somebody, and then select F1, which is going to select your Dom Creep. If that's a Centaur, use it to stomp. Option number 3, and this is in the Hotkeys tab, part of this interface section over here, you should set up a scoreboard hotkey. And the reason for this is because the scoreboard is something that you should be using a lot to essentially check on the status of the game. So a very important example of this is, like, let's say there's an anti-mage or a Terrorblade farming on the enemy team, and they haven't been just staying in vision. So you can't just click on them or highlight them and see what level they're at, see how much farm they have, and you want information on, like, okay, do we need to gank this guy? Is he getting a lot of farm? What do we do in this game? If they came in vision, it will update whatever their current level is showing on the scoreboard, and you can see it there even if they're not available on the map to click. Like, you can see what their last level was when they were in vision, which can give you an idea of, like, okay, this Terrorblade's level 13, our highest level is level 10, we need to go shut this guy down, we need to push before Terrorblade gets really farmed. It gives you an update on the status of the game, and this is something that you should be checking a lot, because it's not just a Terrorblade. Like, you should be checking everybody's levels, and you can also check everybody's KDA, and that gives you an update on the status of the game, because, like, let's say the score is 2-12, and you're like, oh man, we're fucking losing, what am I gonna do? You open up the scoreboard, you see that your anti-mage actually has 2 kills, 0 deaths, and it's just like your Lich support that's feeding. Whatever, that's perfectly okay, and you wouldn't know that if you couldn't, or if you didn't open the scoreboard and see that it's actually your Lich that's dying and not your hard carry. Like, that is very important information, and you will have a bad idea on how the game is going if you don't open up that scoreboard. And with how much you should be checking the scoreboard, you need to have a hotkey for it. You don't want to just have to keep moving your mouse up here to press this thing, because, like, mouse movement is just so bad, because, like, you should be clicking on things to right-click them to cast spells, using your mouse to check enemy heroes, check their items and things like that. and it's just so convenient to be doing all of that stuff, and then you just press your hotkey, it comes up, and then it goes away. So we'll cut it there for this video. Once again, I don't want to just make like a 40-minute video. I could go on and on about options, but I would like to know in the comments if you guys are still interested in this sort of thing. I do have quite a bit more to show you in terms of options. I just don't want to like overwhelm with like a shitload of information all at once. So if this is still good stuff for you guys, let me know and I'll keep making it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video.